Morning. How you doing? I'm tired a little bit today. It's Monday. I'm finished at the gym, which is why it's nice and bright around, so hopefully the video quality is a little bit better. But yeah. Do you get that Monday feeling? Do your heart sinks a little bit? You've had a few days off in the weekend, you've seen your family and your friends, you've enjoyed, you've relaxed, you've eaten a lot of good food, and then Monday comes back around. Well, we just have to suck it up, I guess. Every week starts with Monday, so there's no getting away from that. No matter how much you dislike it, the best thing you can do on a Monday is get on with it. Nobody else is going to do it, so you need to get on with Monday. Make Monday happen. Make Monday a success. Don't moan about it. Get into work, get up, go to school, go to class, go to university or college, whatever it is you do, and get on with it. That's the way to deal with a Monday. So what I was going to talk about briefly today is a question that a lot of people have asked me, and that is usually along the lines of, so you didn't go to college, university, how did you get a good job? How did you end up doing what you're doing today without a degree, without a qualification, without a bachelor's, without a master's? And it's a really good question. So I'll talk about that a little bit. If you've watched one of the previous vlogs, I talk about the fact that I was home educated from 8 years old onwards. So I didn't go through the normal education system, didn't follow the normal process, didn't take the normal exams. So fairly different from the outset. I think when I was maybe 16, 17 and so on, I was thinking really seriously about what I was going to do and what I wanted to do. The job I wanted to do, the job I aspired to, did require a university education. So I was seriously considering that, looking at different options that were available to me where I could study, exactly what I would study, over what period, and then how I would get that job that I wanted at the end of it. But ultimately, I decided not to go to university at all. The primary reason behind that, the primary driver, was probably fear, if I'm honest with you. My real concern was that I'd had an awareness that there were more and more people going to college, more and more people going to university. I certainly know that from a political standpoint, Tony Blair in the late 90s was a huge proponent of that. I think he said he wanted 50% of young people to be at university. And whilst that's a great ambition from the standpoint of increasing people's level of education, ultimately what it does is it devalues your qualification. It's the same as in an economic sense, for example, inflation. So the more money is in circulation, or the more money that the government prints, the less value the money in your pocket actually has. It goes further. You can do less with it because it is more common. So it's a bit of supply and demand. There's certainly no rarity or commodity to it. So if you imagine maybe in the 1920s, very few people went to university, and that's because university was essentially for the intellectual elite. Now university is the de rigueur. It's just normal. Everybody goes to university. If you don't go to university, people look at you and you think, are you okay? Is there something wrong with you? Or you got a really low IQ, or you kind of have no ambitions, no real drive, no desire to succeed in life. So I think that's a little bit of a problem. And what I was ultimately terrified of was spending 3 to 4 years at university and a small fortune in money, paying for that education and paying to live, and then coming out at the end of that process the same as everybody else. I would have no differentiator. There was nothing that was going to set me apart. There was nothing that was going to make me different, make me better, make me stand out, make me more employable. That's what I really wanted. And I soon realized that more often than not, employers employ you for what you do rather than for what certificate you have. Most employers aren't actually interested, when you get to a certain level, in your academic background. That doesn't matter to them too much, because ultimately they're paying you to do something. They're paying you to perform a function. They're paying you, you're salaried on the basis of outputs, what you can achieve, what you can do, not what bits of paper you hold. Now, those bits of paper may help you in terms of convincing them that you can deliver those outputs, but more often than not, people are finding today, I haven't got the numbers to hand, but a lot of people are finding that the jobs they end up going into are actually in no way related to the qualifications that they undertook. So my primary driver was being employable, having real experience. So what I ended up doing was hunting around, and actually I joined an engineering program, a technical program, as much like an apprenticeship at a local company. I say local in that it was located close to me in terms of geographic proximity, but it's actually a tech company. It's a very big tech company. It's a multinational, billion pound turnover. So they're absolutely enormous. And they ran a 4-year engineering training course, which I applied for and interviewed for, and ended up being offered a position on. So the driver for me there really was getting my foot in the door. I thought that if I got into a fairly large organization, it would be broad enough and deep enough to actually offer me an awful lot of opportunities. And once my foot was in the door, I'd kind of overcome the primary hurdle. And once you were there, you just had to prove yourself. You're employed already, you're on the payroll, so people know you. You can start to build relationships and establish trust and deliver value to other people in the organization. So I went for the interview there, and I said, look, I'll be really honest with you. I'm not too interested in being an engineer. I'm interested in being a project manager. I know you do project management. Can I please come on your course, your engineering course, and you have to trust me that I will do everything that the engineering course requires of me. I'll take all the study, I'll do every module, I'll take all the exams, I'll pass, I'll succeed, but what I really want to do is I actually want to be a project manager. The reason for that is that the engineering functions often are what we would describe as dead man's shoes. So there's no real opportunity for progression, whereas project management is a very broad skill set that encompasses many industries, globally. It's fairly well recognized and fairly well understood. So you're not narrowed down to the niche of engineering in a particular function, and also project management then translates fairly easily into other functions such as business or operations management or something like that. So they took me on. They said, yeah, we really appreciate your ambition, and offered me a job on the program. So I did that, and ultimately that's how I got my foot in the door, and that's where my career really started. So I don't think that that's necessarily the right approach for everybody, and please don't watch this and think, university's no good, university's a waste of time, university's a waste of money, do something different, find an alternative. That can work really well, but also going to university can also work really well. There are certain professions that actually require a degree as an absolute minimum. For example, medicine, if you want to be a doctor, you have to have a degree. If you want to work in law, you have to have a degree. I think unfortunately in the UK they've now made it mandatory for nurses to have a degree, which I completely disagree with. But the set professions that mandate a degree, if that's what you want to do and that's what you want to work in, well, hey, you better go and get a degree. So don't watch this and think, oh, he's writing it off and he thinks it's a waste of space. I'm not. What I am writing off is going there without direction and purpose. Going there and just doing your time, spending the money, turning up on graduation day, getting the certificate, and then going, oh, right, so what am I going to do with this now? That's what I'm writing off, because that's dumb. That's just really stupid. You've wasted a lot of time and a lot of money, and you're not clear on what you're supposed to be doing. So that's something I'm really happy to talk about a lot more. You guys can quite easily say, well, you've not been to university, you don't understand the value that it brings. Correct. I don't have that experience. I've not been there. However, in the last 8 years, I have interviewed literally hundreds of people for different positions within businesses that I've worked for. So I think, without boasting, it's fair to say I have a fairly good grasp of who's capable and who isn't capable, and how closely related to qualifications and education and background that is. So, if you're coming for an interview with me, where you took your degree or whether you took a degree at all wouldn't be a make or break for me. What would be a make or break for me, I can guarantee you, is if you came and interviewed with me and I saw that you had a what I would call a useless degree, like a degree in flower arranging or David Beckham, or just one of those stupid degrees that you hear of that don't have really any substance to them, and there probably is not that much challenge in accomplishing them. So that's what would ultimately make a difference for me. But guys, get in the comments there, just write down your experiences. I'd like to hear a lot more about you. What's your background? What are you doing now? Talk me through your story. I'd really love to hear it.